You have now arrived at Stadium and Gale.
The kick, it's been blocked again! Oh my! It's been blocked again! It's going to heave one deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be gone! It's a touchdown! And the Gators have won the game! Tyreek Cleveland! Oh my! I can't believe what I just saw! Dropping back to throw. Thompson fires the ball over the middle. It's Murray! It's Murray! Got a touchdown! Murray got a touchdown! Oh my! Murray's got a touchdown! Hands it off to Marvin. He comes back. Say goodbye.
Ahmad Black, in his final game as a Gator, takes it all the way home and sends Urban out a winner.
You have now arrived at Stadium and Gale.
Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Stadium and Gale. It's your boy Corey.
It's Dan.
Delatory.
And Jordan.
I don't know. I feel like I'm lagging a little bit, man. Stadium and Gale, same corner, same time. How was y'all boys' weekend, man?
I mean, I think you got to talk about yours. I mean, you look like you had a great time. I was up in beautiful Georgia this weekend. Played some golf. One of my friends, he went to Emory for his MBA, so they did like a 10-year reunion of graduating, and so I'd become friends with a lot of his friends. So we went up there for that, played some golf. Shout out to Governor's Town Club in Ackworth, Georgia. That's a top flight golf course. So if you live up in that area, had a fantastic time up there. So can't complain. Had a great trip there and back. And that's the last positive thing that I'll say about Georgia this entire week.
It's suspect that you're heading to Georgia this week, Dan, or last week of all weeks. A little suspect.
Right.
Me, bye week, easy. Love a bye week. Our last one, 5 straight after this. So last time to relax before the team gets in a run. I'll be up in Jacksonville, Dan's favorite city in the whole wide world on Friday. So if you're going to Florida, Georgia, Friday night, Florida plays JU at the baseball grounds of Jacksonville. Whatever corporate sponsor named it hasn't sent me a check. So it's still the baseball grounds of Jacksonville up there.
Yeah, I seen somebody in my comments has said, make sure if y'all going out there, make sure you drop. I'm lagging.
No, I think Jordan's lagging a little bit. Somebody told me to go to Moncrief. Is that a good place to be? Good shopping, good restaurants, good bars.
Great area, nice
Great
ambiance, nice scenery, just epic landscaping, all of that stuff, man. It's just a staple in Jacksonville. You should always stop by there.
Okay. Yeah. Next time I'm up there, won't be able to make it up there this weekend. I have a baby shower to go to, and we'll talk a little bit about it, but just, probably want to go to a different game. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to a Gators game, and my options are go to Gainesville or go to Jacksonville. 1,000,000 times out of 1,000,000 going to Gainesville.
Definitely understandable. I had a solid weekend, man. Had the Florida State Miami tailgate, a great time. A lot of Miami guys came through. Couldn't get no Florida State guys to come out. Of course, they won one game, so it's hard to get Florida State players to come out. That was a good turnout. I also had an interview with Clinton Portis, which was very dope. Can't wait to put that out. We're not gonna put the next run of Flow Factor interviews out until the new year. We're gonna stockpile a bunch of them and then drop a season 2. And then I went to my Miami Heat Dwyane Wade statue reveal. Good time. I enjoyed myself, man. Think about the statue.
Just an egregious statue.
Jordan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, but the statue was not great at all. But on the flip side, my weekend was pretty solid, man. I had a double bye week. My Gators had a bye week, as well as Cardinal Newman had our bye week this week. So we back in action this week, man, and I'm ready to get it rolling. I had a pretty chill weekend, though, with the family. Watch some football, eat some good food, per usual.
There's some good football on this weekend. I do want to talk about this Dwyane Wade statue. because Nick and I are both Miami Heat fans. Jordan, you a Miami Heat fan?
Of course, by default.
Yeah. So it is America's team. So because of that, I just have to say I'm not artistic at all, right? But I feel like I can give some art interpretation. That is not Dwyane Wade.
Could be Antoine Walker.
It could literally be any
100%.
Could be anyone. Could be anyone other than Dwyane Wade.
Anybody but Dwyane Wade.
Yeah.
Somebody
That's
said
Dwyane Wade
Lawrence
without the
Fishburne.
W.
That was so
in there.
bad. I wonder who did that statue. I definitely feel so bad about themselves right about now. They're going viral for the wrong reasons.
I read that Dwyane Wade, and we were talking a little bit about it before the show, Dwyane Wade approved, and he said that he made a couple corrections. I just don't know at what point he stopped giving his corrections. Maybe it was the hand motion down and got to the head yet, but again, not an artist. But
Yeah, that was
I think he made sure that Heat was spelled correctly, and that was his last correction.
yeah, the number.
Yeah, the number also. Jersey looks good,
Yep.
buddy. See you later.
That was legit the talk of the event. Everybody was kind of whispering around the event, like, man, that does not look like him whatsoever. But overall, man, the greatest Miami Heat player to ever do it. I remember when he first came into the NBA, that first playoff, it had Shaq down there. He was going crazy, fresh out of Marquette. Didn't see him being this great, but he's probably the top 3, 4 shooting guard all time. You got Michael Jordan and Kobe ahead of him. Who else? That's about it, right?
Yeah, I don't know enough of shooting guards but I think Dwyane Wade is an incredible player. I mean, he helped make that team relevant for so long, and he went through some ups and downs. He started, he's number 3 or number 4 overall draft pick. Team wasn't very good. They got better. They got Shaq. They win a championship. They go through a rebuilding. They get LeBron. They get Chris Bosh. But at no point was Dwyane Wade not ever, the number 1, maybe number 2 option at the absolute worst. But he carried that team and, spent almost his entire career down there, which is kind of unheard of, especially now. I know he went to the Bulls for a little bit, and I know he went to the Cleveland Cavaliers for a little bit. But those are times that we just don't talk about very often. So
I've got a quick top 10 list here I can run through. Top 10 two guards from Hoops Hype. Vince Carter, Ray Allen,
yeah,
Reggie Miller, Clyde the Glide Drexler, George Gervin, James Harden at 5, Allen Iverson AI at 4, Dwyane Wade at 3, Kobe. MJ.
Yeah, I like
Sounds
that.
about right.
Yeah, I like that list. We're gonna let Jordan figure out his internet real quick. We'll welcome him back. Thanks everybody for watching.
Lagging? It feels like
No,
I'm lagging
you're
on my
good.
end.
No,
I'm good?
no.
Okay,
Yeah, you're
cool.
good.
No. I personally lagged after Dan said Dan. I was just like, that was on me.
We're
It
just
was
going
not
to deal
your
with some
lag.
technical difficulties today. Welcome Jordan back.
Right.
We'll get it all figured out. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like button, the subscribe button. Appreciate everybody for joining and watching each and every week here on Stadium and Gale. Corey, if you want to get your vocal cords ready for that Brunt Insurance ad read, we appreciate everybody for their sponsorship or for patroning our sponsors as well. So keeps the show going. Had a couple of people that I ran into, one person at the airport when I was on my way back that listened to Stadium and Gale. So that was a cool little run. And I don't even think we exchanged names. So I think he just said, "Hey, Dan, I listened to your podcast." And then we went on our merry way.
I had a guy I ran into at the game. Same thing, man. Ran up on me. Hey, big Stadium and Gale fan. I'm also a Gator. I don't know his name. He didn't share his name, but congrats to that guy. On everything he got going media wise at the Heat game. And also, my son's teacher's a big fan of the show. Yeah, my son was in class. He pulled him to the side. Was like, "Hey, I follow your dad on Twitter. Listen to the podcast, man." So, Mr. Kimbrough, appreciate the love, man. Loyal listening. That's why I got to clean up how I move on Twitter, man. Because a lot of my son's teachers and shit be on here, man.
Honestly, I miss the old silk, bro. I miss it.
Oh, come on.
I get it. I get it from a business standpoint, but
It was fun. It was a fun ride.
Shout out to I think his name was Julio. He was my server at a restaurant in St. Pete on last Tuesday. We were down there eating, and a great server. Everything else, he gives me my check back at the end. He's like, I thought it was you, but I wanted to make sure when I ran your credit card. He's like, I listen to your podcast all the time. So shout out to you, Julio.
Julio wanted to make sure he was able to write down your credit card information.
Yeah, I'm like, this receding hairline, this size head. Come on. All right. Well, Corey, let's get into Brunt Addery and let's get on with the show.
Brunt Insurance and Financial Services. One time for my guy, Greg. Anything you may need insured from the Panhandle to the Keys or anywhere in the Southeast, Greg can take care of you. Home insurance, auto insurance, life insurance. You got a trailer, motorcycle, bicycle, anything you may need insured, Greg got you. Free quote. You can visit them online as well, bruntinsurance.com, or give them a call. Like I said, 954-589-2204. Big coverage, big policies.
It's free to give them a call.
Nick, you just not gonna hit me with Greg what it do?
Greg, what it do, baby?
I appreciate it.
And we appreciate everybody for all the comments. Corey, how far do you live from Okeechobee? 30 minutes? Give or take?
About an hour. Okeechobee, the lake, or Okeechobee, the city?
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
The lake, about 45 minutes. The town, about an hour.
Congrats to JP. You got a job at the Vinoy. If you're going to be a chef or whatever you're going to be doing over there, great. Now I got my plug for the Vinoy golf course. I appreciate you preemptively hooking me up on the golf course. So the Gators will play Georgia this week in Jacksonville. Georgia right now sits at 6-1. Maybe not the same Georgia that we're used to watching over the last few years. They did have a nice comeback in their last game against Texas, where they won that game 30-15. Struggled a little bit with Kentucky winning that game 13-12. Struggled a little bit with Mississippi winning that game 41-31. But guys, and then obviously their loss was that game against Alabama, where they were up, then down, then almost came back. But guys, give me your overall thoughts before we kind of break down offense and defense of this Georgia football team. Corey, let's start with you, buddy.
They're just not the Giants they used to be, right? I think they're still a very talented team. Just superstar-wise, it just don't jump off the screen like it was last year or the previous years. Watching them, I watched that game live when they played against Kentucky. Very beatable team for us, our roster. I think we match up well versus them if the coaching's on point. That's where I think we're lacking at is coaching and being able to put these guys in position to have game plans to beat a team like Georgia, because one thing they always going to have is great coaching. Kirby and them boys going to come prepared. They're going to have adjustments at halftime, maybe adjustments before halftime. So preparation is going to be the biggest difference in what we may see in this game and the outcome. But this Georgia team doesn't have the running back they've had in the past. Tight end, receiver. While they got talent, you can look at the roster, blue chips all over it. It's just not as dominant as it was. There's a lot of parity in college football this year, all around. So the beatable, the teams that was just like King Kong, the Georgias, the Ohio States, the Bamas, all those teams look beatable. So I just don't see a team. I think it's a team we could beat, especially with Lagway. I think the RPO, Kirby's going to try to take away the deep ball, in my opinion. I don't think he's going to approach this game like Stoops approached it and try to make Lagway arm beat us. He found out real quick that Lagway arm can beat him. I think Kirby's going to approach this game a little bit differently than maybe Stoops did. But I think we got the players, the athletes on the outside, the running game, the run RPO. Our defense have been stopping the run very well, even though Georgia don't run the ball a whole lot. But our defense has been stout versus the run. The biggest difference in this game is going to be they actually have a capable passer. The last few teams we beat, UCF, Kentucky, Mississippi State, those teams didn't have a quarterback that could hit the wide side of a barn. Bet can. So that's going to be the thing. We got to watch the deep ball. We let some players get behind us the last few weeks. We can't let that happen this week. But a very beatable Georgia team. I like where the spread's at. If I was betting on it, I would take the under. I think we could cover that spread.
Yeah, right now spread is Georgia -16. Money line is -850 Georgia, +615 for the Gators. Over under is 52.5. Nick, give me your thoughts on this Georgia team. I know we're gonna talk about numbers in your article and everything else here in a second, but kind of high level.
Yeah, just like 30,000 feet. A little surprising to see that Georgia's not running the ball as well as I think they have, or that they should be able to with that offensive line and with Trevor Etienne. The offense, like going through it, like as pedestrian as we think Florida's offense has been for stretches during this season, Georgia's like right there with them in terms of ranking in the SEC. It will be interesting. I think you mentioned it, Corey, because it's like way more capable passer. And I gave probably Nico more praise than he was due.
Yeah, he was hyping.
I was unfamiliar with his Smo and Felipe Franks heritage.
You're unfamiliar with his lack of game. I got you.
Yeah, so I didn't know he was Smo and Franks. But I don't think you're gonna miss. My bad, Jordan. I don't think you're gonna miss those deep balls that Nico missed or that Brock Vandegrift missed. So you can't have those coverage breakdowns. Listen, if you're a cornerback, you're going to get beat. It's just the nature of the game. It's going to happen. You just try to get beat in front of you and not, chasing a guy.
Right.
Only 15 of 42 over 20 yards, though, Nick.
I told you I'm a 30,000 feet view. We can't look at all that now, Dan.
Yeah, no, I get it.
It's hard to look at that.
Facts don't care about feelings. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, thank you. It will be interesting because Florida's defensive game plan the last 3 weeks has been load up the box, stop the run, make the quarterback beat you. Can you roll the dice and do that this week? It'll be interesting to see how Florida attacks them. And then defensively, DJ Lagway, his running ability, even though he clearly was told, get down, don't get tackled, avoid any contact that you can avoid, sliding 4 or 5 yards ahead of a guy tackling him because of the depth behind him. His running ability gives you so much more in the RPO. You have to account for him play 11 on 11, which opens up the deep ball. And I think he has unique accuracy on that deep ball. But what will you get from Glenn Schumann, Kirby Smart? And I know Will Muschamp has stepped aside a little bit to watch his son play at Vanderbilt. I can imagine Will, with how he feels about Florida, zooming in on some of these defensive meetings this week. And I think you'll see, or I think DJ will see stuff that he has not seen on film from Georgia at all. He'll see it Saturday when they play.
Muschamp hates Florida because he got fired, or?
Yeah.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Will.
He thought he should still have a job at Florida after his 4 years.
I mean, it got a little nasty there at the end as well.
Yeah. No, I'm just curious. I mean, Jordan was there. Jordan was there.
Will loves what has happened to Florida since he left.
Right, for sure.
Does he think it's because of him leaving that Florida is?
I don't know why he thinks that. I just know that he celebrates it.
He definitely thinks that for sure, though.
Yeah,
really. It's interesting.
He still got me blocked, so I noticed he's still bitter about some
Jordan
things.
can speak to Will's mindset more than
Yeah,
I can. I can just tell you that he is happy that when Florida loses.
For sure. But overall, my take on this game, man, I think they're a very beatable team, man. And I really think we have a shot at upsetting these guys. I think we should really hone in on making some better decisions with the football offensively, as well as just playing clean football, man. Like, let's not beat ourselves up with silly penalties. Like, it's all about a game of inches and everything, man. We can't be giving up simple yardage and simple plays and wasting drives on this a bonehead play in our 3rd and 13 or some craziness because of some penalty. So I want us to really try to play penalty free. Obviously, people make mistakes. It's not possible, but let's shoot for penalty free and let's win the turnover margin, man. I think the way we win this game is if we win the turnover margin. If we can get a few stops and get the ball and force these dudes to make turnovers, whether it's an interception, fumble, something, and we win a turnover margin, I think we have a really good shot at winning this ball game, man. But I do feel the same way to piggyback off you guys as a quarterback. I think he is a pretty solid quarterback back, but I think he has some loose screws to where we can kind of force him to make some bad decisions and stuff like that. And overall, with Muschamp, I do agree. He's definitely going to try to dial something up this weekend, man. He wants to have his face sort of on that, and
he kind of likes that it's a young quarterback. I can kind of throw some stuff at him, some funky looks, walk some guys up in the A gap, kind of just to get him thinking a little longer, just to hold the ball a little longer and make it the second decision. So hopefully offensively we got some game plans for him, and let's just not overthink it, man. Let's just do what we do best, and I think that'll help us out in the long run 100%.
Yeah.
One interesting thing real quick on that is talking to Ron Roberts before the season, he mentioned that coach-to-player communication. He's like, I hate it. As a defensive coordinator, I loved coaching against a 19-year-old kid. Right. Now I'm coaching against the 50-year-old, offensive coordinator, whoever's calling plays, talking to the 19-year-old kid. So I think that has certainly aided DJ's progression, even on the sideline, helmet on, hearing the calls and hearing Billy talk through the calls with Graham, and then being able to, when you're on the field, hey, by the way, here's the play call. You shorten up these play calls. So now you've got 10, 15, 20 seconds to walk a young player through. Right. This is what we're trying to do. This is how they might, try to defend it. Here's your reads. Even if it's just listen, you have one read. It's one read and run. That might be, the call or the coaching.
Yeah, I think Carson Beck can hit. Like he has some tendencies, and you could make him turnover prone, and showing in his game and in the stats this year. But wide open guys, he just don't miss. He got the arm strength to hit every throw. It comes down to his decision making and him being flustered. He's not cool, calm, and collected in the pocket, and has that gamesmanship that the mailman had. I know Georgia fans are missing him big time, but he's going to hit those wide open throws for sure. You just can't let guys run by you. His deep ball is not bad whatsoever. Like these other guys were missing just wide open deep balls. So we just got to be on point, man.
Yeah, no, Carson Beck is airing the ball out a lot more this season so far. Last year, he only threw past 20 yards 54 times, and this season it's 42 already. So he still has 5 games left to go. So he's definitely going to try to beat Florida deep. You're going to have these guys, whether they're on islands or 2 deep safeties over there, trying to make sure that you minimize those big plays, right? Because, he's 14th nationally in yards per game, 15th in touchdowns. He's just 41st in passing efficiency, which is still in the top third of college football, but definitely I'm sure Georgia fans expected that to be a little bit higher. And he has thrown 8 interceptions, and he's not completing that deep ball. He's completing it less than he was last year. So I'm very, very curious. That's a matchup that I'm looking to watch. Georgia hasn't run the ball as well as I think a lot of people thought they might this year, but they're still scoring, and they've played some very good competition, right? So that's the matchup that I'm looking to see. We've seen some improvement out of the defense. We've seen some improvement in the backfield this season. Now it's a matter of how does Sharif Denson do against Georgia? How does Jason Marshall, who's had a good year, how does he play against Georgia? Is he going to be healthy to play, Nick? I know we won't find out till Wednesday, but
I think I'm going to make Billy Napier a shirt that just says Wednesday at 8:10 p.m.
Yeah, okay.
We talk about injuries now. It's Wednesday, 8:10 p.m.
Love the sunglasses, Corey. So 8:10 p.m. on Wednesday, we'll find out if Jason Marshall and where he sits on that if he's going to play or not. But if not, then Dejon Johnson. We might get Jakeem Jackson back, but Devin Moore and Dejon Johnson are going to have a big task ahead. That's a tough matchup, and Carson Beck may not be as efficient as Stetson Bennett was. He may not be the Heisman favorite or Heisman front runner like people thought. He's still a good enough quarterback to beat you if you're not well prepared and well matched up. Nick, curious your thoughts. Georgia's rushing attack maybe hasn't been as good this season. They ranked 95th nationally in offense, in rushing offense with just 130 yards per game. They average 191 last year. Trevor Etienne has 422 yards on the season, 7 touchdowns. I know he missed a game or 2 at the beginning of the year. But Nick, what are your thoughts on Georgia's rushing attack and what Florida might be able to do to make sure that this isn't an outlier game for them?
Yeah, I think Georgia's capable. of blocking for Trevor. Right now, both Montrell Johnson and Jacoby Jackson have more yards per carry than Trevor. Got paid a lot of money to go to Georgia. Not pocket watching. Good for you. That's the day and age.
You are.
That's the day and age. It just doesn't seem that Georgia has leaned on that on their running game, which is why I kind of questioned, how Florida would try to attack Georgia this week. Certainly, you have a capable back in ETN. You've got a offensive line filled with 5 stars, guys returning. It will be a challenge. If you look at Florida's secondary, you're going to be out Jacoby Jackson. He hasn't played since week 2. If you're out Jason Marshall, now you're playing
Jakeem Jackson.
Sorry, mixed up Jason and Jakeem. If you're out those two, now really those were almost 2 starters. Devin Moore, obviously a starter, but with his availability issues, Jakeem Jackson was that next guy off the bench. So I think if you're Georgia, you're looking to see what does Florida's secondary look like, and will we have more success trying to pass the ball against some guys like, obviously, Cormani McClain had a good game and limited snaps against Kentucky, but do you try to go after a kid who's got 10 snaps, 20 snaps on the season rather than trying to run at Florida?
I think Cormani should start. If Jason Marshall's out, I like Cormani to start over even Jakeem Jackson. Like, I understand what Cormani, what he came in, the baggage he came in with, right? And I know they're trying to take their time with developing him, but, bro, you're talking about one of the best corners to come out of high school football in the last decade. And you can see that ability jump off the screen when he's on the field. Teams like Georgia, there's no reason to have the killers on the bench. You got them on the roster. Put the killers on the field. So if Jason Marshall's not playing, I want to see Cormani start. No shots at Dijon, no shots at Jakeem. It's a difference when 25 on the field. You can see it.
You want Dijon over Cormani? Or Cormani over Dijon?
Yeah. Both.
You don't want the killers in the front row. You'd rather the killers be on the stage.
For sure. Yeah, we don't need them, just hiding in the grassy knoll. Like, put them right there on the infantry line, man. Let them do what they do. You know what I'm saying?
Still, it's got Jeffrey Dahmer starting at quarterback.
You gotta let the killers kill, man. Like, everybody know what he was and what his talent is, and we got to see a glimpse of that. And from what I've been told, he's been doing that in practice. He's been shutting things down, getting turnovers. Jordan already said it. We're gonna need turnovers to beat a team like Georgia, right? We're not gonna just schematically out scheme Kirby, like DJ Lagway, Billy Napier versus Kirby Smart, probably the best defensive call in college football. And then he got the mad scientist, Muschamp in his corner as well. And you're going to need guys to be able to get us the ball back and make some big plays, I don't think that happens, but that's my prescription for cornerback if Jason Marshall's out.
Yeah. I think I'm going to disagree. I think Dijon Johnson. I think Cormani should get quite a few snaps. I think Dijon and Devin Moore should be your starting 2. And I think that there's an opportunity for I think there's an opportunity for Cormani to get quite a bit. But I like what I see out of Dijon this season so far. And, I think our sample size with Cormani is still pretty limited. But, certainly I think that he earned the opportunity to get more snaps in the game. I just don't know, especially against Georgia, if I want to go with the more inexperienced player, at least in terms of snaps this season.
Yeah, you just need somebody to shut down a side of the field, and into like just a ball hawk. He just got a knack for the ball, man. Like, even that deep pass, those 2 plays he made just in that game. I'm not disagreeing with your take. I understand why the average person would say, yeah, Dijon should probably start because he's earned the starts, but you just can see it jump off the film, man. Like,
I remember
that pass break up in the end zone and the way he jumped that route, like, it jumps off the screen for me.
I remember talking to Ahmad about him right after he signed and came to Florida, and I didn't really know it. I don't follow recruiting that closely, and he told me Cormani started as a receiver and really was like learning to play cornerback at Lakeland still. And I think you see those kind of ball skills jump out as a kid who started as a receiver and his job was catching the ball. Sometimes you put guys at cornerback because they can't catch it. I don't think that was the issue for Cormani, but you're seeing those ball skills come out. That pass breakup. I mean, we said last week. You'll talk about the pick six, but that PBU
I think that was the better play.
Impressive, yeah.
Yeah, it's very Travis Hunter-esque. Travis got probably some of the best ball skills I've seen in college football in a very long time. Like, he's not looking to just knock the ball down. He's looking to make a play. Ball skills on both sides of the ball with Travis Hunter. But I think Cormani's right in that lane. I think there's a reason why Deion went all in on him as a prospect, as a cornerback. I think him and Travis have a lot in common when it comes to that, bro. And it's just hard to keep those type of kids on the bench. Those game-changing kids, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Jason Marshall's out, obviously there's a much higher likelihood that you see quite a bit of Cormani McClain. I'd like to see him, right? I mean, you're obviously very impressive in high school, and then obviously in the one, couple quarters that he got of playing against Kentucky. So, I mean, that'll definitely be a matchup, and I still think that there's an opportunity to intercept Carson Beck, right? Eight interceptions on the year. I know he threw 3 against Alabama. Alabama doesn't look like they're world beaters either on the defensive side of the football, right? So they had a nice win against Missouri, but I don't think that they're necessarily world beaters. And I think that Florida's got some talent. And if you can get in to force Carson Beck to have to move around or make plays under duress, I think that there's an opportunity for Florida. Sharif Denson, Cormani McClain, Devin Moore. I think there's an opportunity to get, some interceptions against this guy.
Just pulling up the passing pressure and depth. Let's see. Beck, when he's under pressure.
Under pressure.
Got a 48.3 rating under pressure. It's only completed 16 of 39 with 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. 7 of his interceptions came when he was kept clean, according to Pro Football Focus, which is interesting.
Yeah, he gets a clean pocket, though, pretty often. He had 371 dropbacks where it's kept clean and then just 87 under pressure. Looks to perform well, depending on whether he's blitzed or not blitzed. Is just about the same. But, that'll definitely be something. I think they're not a team that runs a lot of play action. They're not a team that runs a lot of screens either. So, they're gonna try to launch the ball, and he's gonna throw 0 to 9 yards most of the time. He does have 107 of his passing attempts, which is out of 418 behind the line of scrimmage. So maybe they're not categorized as screens all the time, but he's throwing more than half of his passes less than 10 yards or behind the line of scrimmage.
Got that Graham Mertz passing chart, Dan.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't look all that different, to be honest with you. And then when he does, his most successful is intermediate, middle of the field. And then that's where he's got his most yards, like by far. And then the second is behind the line of scrimmage in the middle of the field. So I'm not sure what he's doing there. I'm not sure if he's doing those little flip plays or just a quick dump off there, but that's 1,600 of his yards right there.
Yeah.
I just don't like seeing him on TV. He's an ugly dude. I don't like watching their games, primarily because I don't like Georgia. Second, because I got to see him. And third of all, he does not deserve, and I know I got some guys on this show that have tattoos, he does not deserve. He's not cool enough to have an arm sleeve. There needs to be a committee or a commission that you have to go to, and they're going to sit down and interview you for hours.
Jordan, what's the immediate
because he's from Jacksonville?
Well, he also trolled Florida. He remember he got that Florida offer. Then he committed to Georgia, and he said, "Yeah, I was just hoping to get the Florida offer so that I could get the Georgia offer." That's going back like 3 years now. Jordan, what is the locker room reaction if a quarterback walks in full arm sleeve?
I can't lie. You got to be that guy to kind of pull that one off. I'm being honest with you. So he's definitely going to get a lot of what the WTFs and what you got going on, buddy. But hey, maybe he's cool enough to pull it off. I don't know the kid. I personally, by the looks of him, he doesn't look like he's too cool to pull it off. But I may be wrong. We shall see.
Listen, we're judging books by the cover over here. We don't need to open
Yeah. All right. I do want to look at this super chat, Russell. This was a while ago. Appreciate it. Big super chat. Does the ETN factor have a Spikes Moreno like effect on the Gators defense? We'll go to that one and then we'll answer the other question. What do you got,
quick,
Jordan?
Thoughts with Brandon Spikes. He was in a car accident.
Oh man!
Sometime after the Kentucky game, he's doing all right.
Man, I'm glad
just
to hear
thoughts
he's
to
doing
him. I
better,
just
man.
found out about it today.
Man, that's tough, man. I hope he's really getting better and staying in good conditions, man. But that's tough to hear, man. I hope he's doing better. But I'm glad I heard he's around the team a lot, man. And I'm really liking that. You know, I feel like he's a guy, obviously, who knows the culture really well. Obviously, way better than me. Those guys went and did the thing. So I'm really happy that he's around those guys, man. You know, just give that energy, because sometimes as a player, you just kind of need that extra either confidence boost or that extra just want to kind of go make some certain plays, man. And like, effort goes a long way. You see a lot of guys, especially college and in the NFL, they're not the most talented. Most of it has to do with just effort, man, and making plays. And sometimes dudes that are really talented don't feel that they need to bring the same effort as the dudes that aren't as talented. So having a guy like him around kind of drives you to kind of want to give that extra effort, even when you are that talented guy. So I think that brings our defense to another level while the linebackers are playing the way they are as well. So it makes a lot of sense.
I'm interested in what the ETN factor is, because, and Jordan will say this, listen, you might say one thing when you're at a podium and a whole nother thing when you're in the locker room.
100%.
But like the guys today were like Jack Pyburn, who is a guy I think eats smelling salts. He was like, that's my brother at the end of the day. He's like, I'll dap him up before the game, dap him up after, but like during the game, there's so much movement. I still don't like that. There's so much movement now. To me, it's like, it's one thing if like Scooby Williams and Jaden Hill. Jaden Hill graduated and wanted to go somewhere else for his last year. Totally get that.
The season's going as Jaden Hill's going over there.
Like those guys go to Texas A&M, and that's still inside the SEC, but there's just something different to me. If you're at Florida and you're transferring to Florida State, Tennessee, Georgia, there's something different. Like it might be for you. You might making the best decision for you, but you also have to know that like what that's going to do to everything that you're coming from, to the fan base, to your teammates, to
100%.
to Brandon Spikes, to guys who used to play, who used to be in that locker room. So it didn't seem like, now listen, like Cam Jackson said some stuff right after, and he was like, listen, happy for you, but like, I will see you again.
Yeah, it's on.
So to me, it's interesting. I don't know. And you see it a lot with like professional sports now. Like everyone's in that tight circle, that small bubble. There's only so many professional athletes. They all know each other, hang out with each other. You don't get like those Detroit Pistons, Chicago Bulls, Eastern Conference Finals where like it's actually bad blood anymore. It seems like everyone's kind of friends, will compete, but then you're friends after. So I don't know if it's still like, I don't know if Brandon Spikes would talk to Noshawn Moreno today. I don't know if you have that kind of same animosity.
Right. I think it's definitely became a little bit more of a friendlier deal than that. Like at the end of the day, people feel like they're still brothers and like, good friends. But I feel like leading up to the game, hearing all the speeches before the game and, at the end of the day, man, you don't got your colored jersey on anymore. So it's either you about to let her run you over or you going to hit him. So I don't see too many guys on our defense willing to get ran over because that's his brother. So I think it's going to be on and popping when the game starts, man. And I think it's going to be in a good way. Like they're going to be high energy getting after him. And I think they want to set a tone with basically showing them why he left, man. Like, I hope they do.
It is Georgia week, man. We got this nice coach. I know Kirby going into this game on 10. Like Kirby is probably like waking his players up with dashing piss in their face. Like he's getting crazy with this week. Like straight up. And I know our team, our head coach don't approach games like that. Like he don't approach these rivalry matchups where every game's the same game. So I need at least one player on the team to be talking crazy to Etienne.
Nah, because that's true though. I can't lie. This need to be like this always has been a very physical rivalry. Like the game is won in the trenches and from start to finish, man. And not to say like yapping is the way to go, but like you just showing like where we at.
Lost
showed
you
them
doing
that basically, hey, we're here to play today, man. Oh, good. Yeah,
Yeah,
basically trying
you're
to
good.
show them that we're here to play today, man, and we're here to play physical, man. There's no friends right now. And I definitely agree with you on that, Slick, and that, like, Coach need to come on a whole new – he need to come out with a whole different level of energy. This is not just the next game. This is Florida, Georgia week. We're not in Jacksonville for no reason. Like, the field not split between the middle red and blue for no reason, man. It's a big boy rivalry. Like, we need to come to play today.
And there'd be no other reason to go to Jacksonville. I agree. Let's get
hold on real quick.
Yeah.
What was it? What, like you played for a couple different coaches there, man. So how did those coaches approach these rivalry games, man? Like, were they turned up in the locker room? What was preparation like the week leading up to this game?
Wait, real quick. So you went 2-2. You won your first two, lost your last two.
Yeah, won the first two, lost the last two. But yeah, I would say first I would have McElwain. McElwain definitely approached it on a very like crazy note, like which it should be, you know, like this is a mentality game. Like we need to come and basically assert our dominance. Obviously the defense was a lot better than those first 2 years with McElwain. So it came like that, and the defense kind of carried that energy for the offense to kind of piggyback off, and it just took its way. You know, they had the three-headed monster over there at running back, and we still find a way to shut them down. And I feel like that was that approach. And as far as the Mullen one, I feel like he was always very confident. Regardless of who he played, he was a very confident dude, and he always felt like we are these guys, man, and at the end of the day, they need to learn to stop us. So that gave the offense kind of the confidence to kind of move forward and play the way we played. But like I said, the defense was a lot better the first 2 years. So it was just a bigger challenge for us to stop them offensively as well as to keep scoring.
Well, your first game was Treon Harris's second time beating Georgia. My guy, shout out to 3. He is 2-0. He is 2-0 in Jacksonville.
So crazy that he would be that guy to be 2-0 too.
But that 2015 game, I think you had like 26 carries. It was led by the running game. I'm trying to pull up the box score. Yeah, you and LP had 41 carries between the two of you.
I think like whole fourth quarter, we was just running that thing the whole time, just running the game out, man. And that's the type of game I feel like it needs to be, like a very physical matchup, man. And just to show these guys that we can assert our dominance and like we can do whatever we want for real. So I think that's the approach we need to come. Like coach need to come on some crazy stuff pregame. I don't know what he got to do, hit some smelling salts or something, but I need you screaming that had the blood going. Everybody blood should be fired up and ready to go, man. So.
Shout out to Trent. I hope he's doing well.
I wouldn't even mind like a pregame scuffle. Like I want to see this team play with an edge, man. Not the edge that they like in between plays or just celebrating a sack. I just need energy, and from a leadership standpoint, bro. I don't know who's that guy, but we need somebody to come out with a different type of edge. Pyburn. That's why it threw me back a little bit. He seems like that Latimer guy that leaves the locker room with an edge. But now he's talking about friends. Now I need somebody to talk crazy to ETN.
Nah, that's real for sure.
Cam Jackson was talking crazy in the offseason. Don't get nice now. It's
sure.
Georgia week, bro.
Someone walk out with like a T-shirt with a screen print of his mugshot on it.
Mm-hmm. And also,
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
And these guys need to realize, man, this is like a big game as far as the pros go. Like, if any of these dudes have real aspirations to make it to the league, like, this is the games these guys are watching. Even weeks later, they're cutting on the Georgia game first, man. They want to see what you look like against the best competition in football. So this needs to be – that needs to be on their mind, too. Like, if you're trying to be that guy at the next level, man, this is where you come show up and show out. So – if that ain't firing you up, I don't know what more else could. Shoot.
What y'all think the key to the game is, though?
I think Jordan touched on it earlier, and the margin of error for Florida in any game is razor thin, in my opinion. And when you're looking at beating a team that is, Steve Spurrier said the talent's close, a team that is Vegas thinks at one point 22 points better than you. Now a team that's 16 points better than you, according to Vegas. You've got to win the turnover margin. You can't – Coach Matt needs to be on the bus, needs to be on the sideline. You can't have stupid penalties. You can't beat yourself. You're going to need to play clean football and then win those extra things. Win that the hidden yardage. Win the middle 8. My goodness.
Right.
Find some momentum and find ways to hold on to that momentum. turnovers would be a huge way to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the key to the game, and Nick gained 6 of them. So I'll just agree with what Nick said. Is just minimizing errors. Florida has had a lot of unforced errors under Billy Napier, and if you have a very thin margin and you have to overcome a massive deficit here in terms of spread and what probably the expected talent is on both sides of the field, you've got to make sure that you're not giving them free yards or you're not giving them an opportunity to score otherwise. And then I think the other thing is, you've got to get pressure on Carson Beck. Carson Beck is statistically a significantly worse passer when he's under pressure. So those are probably the 2 big things. You want to see that continued improvement by this defense. But minimizing mistakes, I think, is by far the number one.
Yeah, I think if the offensive line play as good as they play, and I know this is a different animal with Georgia, but if they could play good in the run phase, good in pass blocking, that's going to be the key to keep that young freshman, people off of him. I think the chess match between the RPO, whether the box is loaded, unloaded, if you got high safeties to take away that deep ball, that's the chess match I think is going to determine the game. The chess match of how many people in the box. If they try to take away the deep ball, you got 2 high safeties, can we run? Can we make them have to load the box, and then we get one-on-one matches with our receivers? I think our receivers could be any secondary in the country in one-on-one situations. We got 4 guys that could just flat out run, So if we could get in one-on-one situations, even if they're not blowing by them, from what I've seen with how DJ Lagway, he's going to put the ball in places where, unlike Merce, and there's no shots at him, it was a lot of overthrows or just going out of bounds, and it was not a chance to go 50-50. So I just think the real key to the game, in my opinion, is the chess match between is the box loaded, unloaded. If we could run the box, if we could run the ball, if the box is not unloaded. They got 2 high safeties, can we run at them? And because I think DJ Lagway struggles with the intermediate throws, right? Mm-hmm. He's more of a deep ball thrower, but, I think we can supplement some of his intermediate throws and his inaccuracy in that fashion with just flat out running the ball, making them have to come and respect the run. Then you could free the deep throws where he thrive at. So the chess match between RPO, box loaded, unloaded is, to me, the key of the game.
Yeah. I think it's going to be very tough to win this game completing 7 passes, no matter how far each one of them is.
100%.
All right, let's get into a quick ad read. Everybody go visit Alumni Hall. Go visit them on Archer Road in Gainesville. You can visit them online. That is alumnihall.com. Anything that you want, T-shirts, golf accessories, tailgating supplies, anything for this noted holiday season that is going to be rapidly approaching. I learned today that we fall back this weekend. That's pretty cool. But anyway, go visit Alumni Hall at alumnihall.com or on Archer Road in Gainesville. I do want to give Russell the second part of this question. Corey, in an earlier episode, you stated that Napier was losing the locker room. Do you still believe that?
I didn't say that. I say he was losing the locker room.
I don't know. Russell's got receipts, apparently.
Yeah. If I don't
apparently
know. Losing.
I think you said there might be a chance that he's losing the locker room after the Texas A&M loss. Or the Tennessee. Yeah, I think after Texas A&M loss. I think you said he has a chance to, but you also did say the guys are playing hard. So, Russell, we might need a timestamp on that one. We're more than happy to call Corey out.
Billy's a player's coach. Was Mac a player's coach, Jordan?
Oh yeah. Certain guys, he had his favorites. To be
the
honest.
Peanut butter and jelly ones.
Oh, Antonio, AD getting that crust cut off.
Here's how I think they could. My bad, I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought y'all were done.
Good. He had his favorites. Like, for example, he was on. I mentioned Corey. I told him on the pod that basically he was on his Nick Saban stuff. Is he wants everybody to look the same, dress the same, no flashy whoop-de-whoop.
Hated that.
But he was very particular with advisors. You could only get a visor on your helmet if he allowed it. So basically, you can tell by who his guys were based upon if you had a visor or not.
Visor club.
Right. People, everyone wanted a visor. And he's like, no, we're not with all that flashy stuff. But
I don't think Jordan Scarlett ever had a visor.
I had my visor on for sure.
Oh, okay. He was in the circle.
Favorite.
He was in the nest. He was in the nest.
Right. I was one of his guys for sure. But he definitely had his favorites. He was a player's guy if he was your guy for sure.
Yeah, I think you could chance losing the locker room. Back to the locker room thing. Like, I don't remember saying that he has lost the locker room after the Texas A&M. I mean, losing, regardless how much you like a coach, if you're losing, that's just the vibes. Nobody's gonna come in there. Oh, we got the greatest coach in the world. If you're losing, what I had said is, I think my take was that I didn't see anybody like play in the past. You would see McElwain kids come out and defend, like argue with fans about the coach. Same thing with Mullen. Those guys came at Muschamp as well, and I hadn't seen any of that. I think pure competition. I think Mertz going down saved some of that. Also with even Montreal going down. If players are riding the bench and you're not winning, even Cormani being able to get in and get some playing time. Yeah, that's when you start losing the locker room, losing games. We got to win some games. We went on a little 3-game winning streak with some terrible teams here. So that just calmed the vibes down a little bit. Now we'll see how it pans out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, definitely a tough stretch ahead here. Anthony, back. Appreciate the super chat. My key to the game, getting Eugene Wilson involved early and often.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, was not involved very much in the Gators' last game. Would like to see him more. The Gators did only complete 7 passes in that game, threw the ball 14 times. So you've got to figure out a way. I mean, obviously, if you're scoring the way that Florida's scoring against Kentucky, then it is what it is. You take the win and you figure the rest out later. But I don't think that you're going to be able to beat Georgia averaging 40 yards of completion. I mean, I could be wrong, though.
I would be hot if I was running 17 fake jet sweeps a game to get the ball 3 times.
Yeah, you got some sick cardio, though.
Probably be hot.
That's the problem. I think they need to just let him be a receiver. There's too much gadget stuff going on. Like, I think there's too much. They're overthinking. We got to get Eugene the ball. He's doing too much gadget stuff when he's just per receiver. He's not Kadarius Toney, who took a little time to kind of learn a position. Like, this guy could flat out run routes, and he caught one down the field last game. Just let him be a receiver. We don't got to do all the gadget stuff with him. They overthink it a little bit.
Yeah, Florida definitely is going to continue to run that consistent motion. That's the way that they find out if they're in man or zone defense. But I don't think it always needs to be Eugene. I think you're right. I think that they've used Eugene in a different way than I think his skill set allows. Would love to see him, do a little bit more on the route tree and get a little bit more utilization as a true wide receiver rather than just kind of a not a scat back. That's not the right word, but somebody like that kind of offense, right? So, yeah. Let's see here. All right, and then Georgia. Just to run through a little bit on Georgia, Arian Smith is their top receiver in terms of yards. Dominic Lovett, followed by Dylan Bell. Colby Young, who was 5th on the team in reception yards, was arrested, so he's indefinitely suspended. But I know Kirby Smart, and if there's any game that a player can come back from an indefinite suspension, it's the Florida game. But not putting it out there, just saying I wouldn't put it past him.
Honestly, and then that sounds like a 1-drive suspension.
Yeah,
1-drive offense
2 weeks ago. So I guess he must have missed that Texas game. I don't remember. But yeah, so running is Trevor Etienne. We talked about him, 422 yards, 7 touchdowns, 1 fumble. Then Nate Frazier, 204 yards are their top 2 guys. They're averaging 5 yards a carry, have 4 fumbles this season. Carson Beck has 3 of them. Like to see that. 8 interceptions or 7 interceptions, 8 interceptions and 3 fumbles. A turnover machine.
File that under things Dan likes to see.
You think I do like to see that. So when people say Carson Beck's cooking, I don't really mean he's cooking anything other than another turnover.
There he is. Dad jokes on 1,000.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to let that one marinate for those that are listening in their car on their way to work. If you need to pull over and listen to that one again.
Speaking of cooking, marinate your meat before you cook it.
Yeah, this is doing numbers here. All right, let's see here. Blocking looked to be a fantastic pass blocking unit. Run blocking is pretty solid as well. They've not allowed a lot of sacks this season. I'm seeing just 1. Not ideal, but they have allowed 36 hurries and 9 quarterback hits and 46 pressures. So they're not sacking the quarterback, but they are getting pressure on the quarterback.
Would you say Carson Beck is potentially sneaky fast?
I would not.
Okay.
In fact, I would not use
Coach's
any
son?
of that language to describe him. Let's see. All right. On defense, let's look at the defensive side of the ball for Georgia. Their best defender is Smell Mondin, their linebacker. Really solid player. Has 5 quarterback hurries on the season. Sorry, I'm looking at Malachi Starks, who's a really solid safety. That's a player that I was thinking of. 30 tackles, 2 hurries, 1 quarterback hit, but just not allowing a ton of yards when they're throwing against him, and really doing a great job of protecting their back end there. And then Chaz Chambliss, and then Gator fans might remember his recruitment, Christian Miller, and then KJ Bolden, the former Florida State commit that flipped. Bet he's glad he did that. Those are their top 5 guys. But when you look at these numbers, they're not as high as you would expect out of a Georgia defense that we've seen over the last 3 seasons here. So curious to see, if you're Florida, how do you think you beat them on defense, Nick?
How does Florida's offense attack Georgia?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, like the Georgia defense that showed up in Austin, like that's a nasty defense. The Georgia defense that showed up second half in Tuscaloosa, nasty defense. I think they've gotten healthier. Mikael Williams is a guy who I think could give Florida some problems. I think offensively, you need to continue to use DJ Lagway. It's a huge thing for me, and I feel like I say it 5 times every episode, but having a guy with his running ability, and he's not a run-first quarterback. He's a pocket passer who just so happens to be able to run 20 miles an hour. And you can tell the way he moves around in the pocket and always keeps his eyes downfield. He's not looking to run. He can, but he's not looking to. But just that threat and his ability makes you play 11 on 11. I think that opens up things for you in the running game. If I'm Florida, it'd be interesting. I wonder what Jordan's take is. Do you try to use the deep balls that are on film now to say, hey, Georgia has to respect that. Let's see if we can establish the running game first, get people's eyes in the backfield, and then take advantage of some deep passes? Or do you say, listen, let's go right away, see if we can get an explosive play early on, get them dropping back, thinking about DJ, and then that will open up the running game? That would be 2 different ways I could see Florida attacking the Georgia early on, which, depending on which way you go with, would then dictate how you coach and play the rest of the way.
Yeah, they've got 17 sacks and 82 hurries and 20 quarterback hits on the season. So, I mean, they're creating a lot of after the quarterback.
It's going to be a huge thing for both tackles, I think. Georgia's really strong off the edge. It's a huge game for Austin Barber. Jordan Scarlett just mentioned it. This is a game that scouts will turn on first. Hey, I don't care what you looked like against Samford or what you looked like against Kentucky. What did you look like against Georgia? Because they've got dudes. What did you look like against Texas A&M with Nick Scorton? Huge game for them. But also, you've got to be able to keep DJ healthy and clean. And maybe this is a game where we're not going to ask you to, hey, you've done a really good job of keeping your eyes open downfield, but this might be a game where, buddy, we might need you to help our tackles and help our offensive line by getting out and starting to run and make them worry about having to set the edge and not just being able to, pin their hair back, pin their ears back and run right at you.
Yeah.
I just want to read a quick stat here, Corey, then you go. Georgia has a cornerback named Dalen Everett, who's allowed 28 receptions on 32 targets. So I would target him. That's my statistical analysis there. Go ahead, Corey.
That's why they pay you the big bucks.
It is.
Definitely like that. I didn't know if Jordan had a take from what Nick was saying earlier, but somebody in the comment was saying that we're hyping DJ Lagway. It's not hype. The only way we beat this team, I think, is in the past few years, I've been saying we need somebody dynamic at the quarterback position for this playbook in general. And he just bring a lot of that to the table. Being able to extend plays and the explosive plays is what he brings to the table. And we're going to have to use his legs. That RPO puts defenders, great. These guys are talented. Georgia got one of the most talented teams in the country. You got to make them think more than react, right? Having them pause for a second gives us the advantage. So, and also if we decide to run the ball with Latway, we have a blocking advantage from a numbers perspective. So, yeah, RPO I just think is important. I'm not saying Latway's about to come out here and light Georgia on fire. I don't expect that. I think Kirby Smart is the best defensive play caller in college football, hands down. But that's where the chess match is at. If you want a chance to beat this team, it's right there. Like figuring out how to mastermind and get around that Georgia play calling, that Georgia defense.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with what Nick and Corey said, man. That Lagway is that guy, and he is what's going to separate us into having this victory, as well as we just need to play the numbers game with them, man. Let's outflank these guys. Let's get going on the RPOs, and I'm also agree with Nick on that. Let's just take a shot, first play or first drive, try to go for the big deep ball to go in the end zone and set a spark, and let's see what we can do, man. I feel like we need to get the momentum flowing fast, so hopefully we get the crowd on our side and the momentum going early.
What goes into a game plan? We always talk about, that's the first drive is scripted, or maybe the first 2 drives are scripted, first 12 plays. What goes into that during an install from Monday through Thursday when you're scripting those plays, and how do you build confidence in, hey, we know what we're going to come out of the gate with?
I think it's from, breaking down the film and kind of seeing what Georgia's defense has given up in the past couple of weeks. I think that plays a big role in it, as well as just what are our guys good at? What have we been running good in practice all week, and what is our bread and butter? You always want to mix in a little bit of bread and butter in there, as well as an element of surprise. So hopefully if they do a good job of scripting that up within the first 7 to 10 plays, I think we should have some good momentum going. But overall, we're definitely going to need to run the football at some point, whether it's to close the game out or to sustain drives. It really doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, I feel like DJ is our guy, and he's definitely going to have to step up big time in this game for us to come out with a victory.
Yeah. No, absolutely. You got to get creative. You got to figure it out. It's a very tough battle. I don't think any of us are expecting Florida. I think we would like Florida to win, and we'll call our shot at the end. I don't think that anybody thinks that Florida is going to blow Georgia out of the water, that they're significantly more talented. We're talking about, for the people that are mad in the comments here, well, there's one particular one. We're not trying to hype up this team to let you down. We're not the ones putting on the shoulder pads and the helmet.
That's
on
me.
Saturday.
That's me. I'm the hype guy. Sorry.
So we can actually try to opine here without thinking that everything is the most negative thing in the world. So statistically,
Corey, every once in a while, Corey goes full Jameis on us. Just
Yeah, I broke my glass, man. The handle on my glasses, dog. But yeah, I don't even think we got a predictions yet. And
No.
I think this last stretch of games, we spoke about these last 4 or 5 games before we even got here. So our expectations are laid out of what we think is about to happen. So there's no hype session. We're not doom and gloom and gonna come on here depressed. There's a formula for us winning the game, and that's what we laying out, the formula that we think for us to win the game. But I'm not about to be depressed on here, man. It's beat Georgia ass till we don't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gators by 1 million points. Shout out to Pat McAfee. Huge fan of him on a game day. Let's see. Let's just look at a couple of other stats here. Their starting DBs are letting up. So if you're able to get the ball completed, Julian Humphreys giving up 64% of the times that he's targeted against. That's 17 yards. A pop. We already talked about Dalen Everett, who's giving up 87.5% of the times for 355 yards and 12 yards in attempt. Malachi Starks, he's giving up nearly 70% of the time that you're throwing against him. KJ Bolden has their best, the lowest receiving possession or percentage against of the players that play a significant amount of time, but they're not necessarily locking these guys down. Now, I know what Georgia's game is. It's not necessarily just in DBs. I mean, they put Quinn Ewers in a blender where they thought that Arch Manning would have a better shot to try to go and win that game for Texas. So I know Georgia is really good, and I know that they're going to go after DJ Lagway, and I know that they're going to try to make Florida either one-dimensional or force him to make big passes and big plays and then be prepared for that. But I also think that there's an opportunity that Florida's not had against a Georgia team, statistically looking at how they've played this year, to have an impactful game, and especially with a mobile quarterback that has an electric arm that you have to be cognizant of every single play.
100%.
All right, let's get into a quick ad read by our friends over at Homefield Apparel. Go visit homefieldapparel.com. It's the shirt that I'm wearing here is from them. Homefieldapparel.com.
Beautiful Florida script. Shout out to the baseball team.
Shout out to baseball. Go visit homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code Stadium and Gale at checkout. We'll get you 15% off of your order. So again, that's homefieldapparel.com. Promo code Stadium and Gale. All right, guys, let's get into.
Reach out to all the sponsors that have him send like Jordan some care packages, man, so he can get his dripping cups and everything on point, bro.
So I'm holding this hat, and this hat's like it's a little shallow. And I remember when Jordan still had the dreads, I want to know what was the helmet size with the dreads. And how many more helmet sizes would you be smaller now with the clean shave?
Right, definitely. I'll be down about at least 2 sizes. I was definitely like an XL with the dreads, and on the back end of my Dolphins, I had cut the hair, and the dude was like, "Yo, what? I got to get you a new helmet." And I was like a small after, so like that or medium.
A linebacker, he was in my class, who at St. Thomas, they didn't have a helmet big enough for him, so he just played without a forehead pad. Linebacker.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. That's uncomfortable.
That's how big my head is, bro.
He had a scholarship to Miami, and when we lost to Lakeland for the 3rd straight year in a row, just stopped coming to school.
Oh,
that's crazy.
Just dropped out because they wouldn't win the state.
He was clearly at St. Thomas to play football, and when there was no more
football
to be played. And when it was a tough 0-3 run my sophomore, junior, senior year against Lakeland.
That's wild.
You got to figure out what he's up to now, Nick. I need an update on this.
Not
Chris
much.
Reed,
Man.
Chris Reed and I. Chris Reed. I wonder if Chris Reed was from like we talked about Tyreek.
You said his government name?
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know.
Out there for tens of thousands of listeners.
Maybe,
You know what I mean?
Chris Reed was a hell of a safety or linebacker. I think he kind of played. He would have been probably a rover in college, but he played linebacker at Florida or at St. Thomas. We had cooking chemistry together.
The hell's cooking chemistry, Nick? Is that like home ec?
Colleges stopped accepting home ec as a science credit. And St. Thomas takes care of its athletes. So we had the former home ec teacher doing our chemistry class. So I took chemistry in high school. We cooked food on Fridays.
That's nuts.
It's chemistry and cooking.
I mean, there sure is.
That
just I know what you guys are doing there, and I'm just going to leave it be.
It's the beauty of
great education.
School,
I
baby.
think the FHSA shut down your football program, potentially your school here.
It's just a beautiful private school education, Dan. Higher education, higher athletics.
You're right.
Yeah, and obviously higher linebackers. All right, guys, let's get into the pick 'em part of this show. Buy or sell, a little pick 'em action. What do you guys got? DJ Lagway over 225 yards passing, over under. Buy or sell? Jordan, we'll start with you.
I'm buying that all day.
Ooh, okay. Corey's buying. Nick?
I want to buy it. I want to buy
Got
it.
to.
Yeah.
Throw the ball, man. Like we may get down 2 scores, right?
Yeah.
And looking at the numbers, Georgia wants to go deep. Like that's the game they want to play as well. I just think not because of I think he's gonna go lights out. I just think the amount of throws, like attempts, is gonna be high if they get up a couple scores.
But real quick, what's the way? Like, I can see Georgia winning this in a blowout. I can see Georgia winning this close. I don't see Florida winning this in a blowout. I think Florida might have to make this a muddy, ugly kind of game, and that might not be DJ throwing the ball 40 times to get 300 passing yards, which is my hesitation there. I think he can. I'm just saying I don't know if that's the game plan Florida goes into, being like, you know what, we'll just get into an F1 Formula car race with Georgia, and we'll see if we can beat them 55 to 56.
We don't control the tempo. So in my mind, I think Georgia just gets up a couple scores, and we got to play catch-up ball. You know, if we making it muddy, then that's a good thing for us. If it's one possession game and we can shrink the game, that's our ideal situation to be able to shrink it, have it one possession in the fourth quarter. We got nothing to lose in that, right? But I just think, you know, watching this game in the past, staff for staff, I think they get up a couple scores, and then we have to play. We have to keep pace a little bit.
Yeah. Numbers 250, Dan?
225.
I'll buy 225.
Yeah, I had 250, and then I scribbled it out. All right, I'm going to buy that one as well. Will the Gators rush for 150 yards on the ground?
I'm going to have to go buy again. I'm riding with my boys, man.
Let's go. Jordan's like, this ain't my money.
This ain't my money. All right.
I'm buying it all.
We're going to make it's going to probably not be this season. Next season, the loser's going to have to do something in this buy or sell segment. We got to make it worth something.
Yeah, let's make it
up by next week.
Right there.
Go
ahead,
Nick.
So you're putting them at 400 yards.
Well, that's 375. You should have taken math instead of cooking chemistry.
Oh, God.
STA pride. I'm going to sell. Close, but sell.
Okay.
I'm buying it, man. Trail back? My trail back?
Wednesday
8-10.
I'm still going to buy it. I think between the three. I think even if Montreal's up, I think between two running backs, DJ Ladway, you get 150. I think Ladway could get us 50 to 75 on a few scampers. And I think the running backs will hold down the rest, man. Yeah, mark me down for buying 150.
What do we have, Nick? Georgia, what are they letting up? 304 yards per game, 19th best in the country right now.
I think, let's see. Right now, Georgia is giving up. Georgia's giving up 304.9 a game versus conference opponents. They're giving up 362.
Okay. All right, then I'm definitely buying.
I like it.
Yeah, I'm buying that. All right, so Georgia has allowed just one sack all season. Will the Gators get a sack or more against Statue Carson?
100%. I think catch that boy. Pause.
No diddy.
No diddy.
No diddy.
Well, I think we put our pause on him for sure. I got us down for 2. I think we get 2 sacks.
Ooh. I'm gonna have to go sell here, man. Okay. I hope my boy Sap gets there. Hopefully, he gets a couple QB rushes. But I'm gonna have to go sell for this one.
If we don't get a sack, we getting smashed, man. We need sacks, baby. Sacks and turnovers.
Right.
Let's sell.
Goodbye.
Let's go, Dan.
Yeah.
I got somebody in the car with me, baby. Let's spin the block.
Yeah, I've got some ideas that this defense will be able to create at least one. At least one. I like Corey's idea of 2, though.
I got 2.
I would like a better idea of maybe 3. 3 sacks.
Now you're getting ahead of yourself.
Soap's kicking you out of the car. He was like, yo, just slam the passenger door.
I'm driving Corey's car like I'm a Georgia football player.
Don't do that. Never drive like a Georgia football player.
Too much dip on your chip, man. Too much dip on the chip.
All right. Turnovers. Will the Gators cause 1.5 turnovers or more on defense?
Let's buy it. We're getting you said Beck's got what? 11 turnovers in 7 games?
Yeah.
Let's go 1 interception, 1 fumble recovery.
Wow. Okay. Corey?
Yeah.
I'm gonna sell it. I think we get 1. 1.5 puts us at 2. I think we get 1.
All right. Jordan?
I'm gonna go by 2 interceptions. Let's
2
go.
interceptions. Right.
Rivalry may be a little bit too big for him. He's from Florida. Might nut up a little bit. Let's do it.
I mean, he torched Florida last year, unfortunately.
I know. Got to speak it into existence, man. Let's do the thing.
Yeah, it's before the arm sleeve, wasn't it? So I'm gonna buy it.
Right.
Before
I bought all of them, which I don't know if I love because even Corey didn't buy all of them. Nor did Jordan. I didn't know 3 questions ago I'd be the only one buying.
Don't stop
All right.
believing.
Win-loss. Who do you think wins? Nick.
Georgia.
With the spread.
Georgia.
You think Georgia wins
You don't think we
by
cover?
16 perts?
Yeah.
Okay.
The last 2 years, the combined score at halftime is 54-10. I don't think Florida starts fast in games. The halftime scores.
I know.
Georgia has been up 54-10 at halftime.
I comprehended. I took English instead of cooking chemistry.
Oh, you just look at me. Yeah, I don't feel great about the spread, but I'll ride with Georgia covering the spread. Florida's lost by 20 both years. When it comes down to Saturdays, I think Florida's roster is getting better. When it comes down to Saturdays, I just don't know that Florida offensively, coaching-wise, will match up with Glenn Schumann and Kirby Smart.
Okay. I think that we're playing with the spread. So spread 16 or more. You don't have to get 17 or 16 and a half. I'm going to buy that Florida covers but loses the game. So Dan is buying cover. Nick is selling the cover. Jordan, buy or sell. Florida can cover 16 points.
I'm buying it, and I'm going to throw a wrench in there. We're going to win it. Mess up the whole east side of the SEC, baby. Let's do it. That's what SEC ball is all about. Somebody has to mess it up and make the thing all messed up to who makes it to the end.
All right.
I think Florida's job is to do that this week, so we're going to do that.
Yeah.
He's coming in hot.
Yeah.
Gotta make your impact on the show quick.
Billy might keep his job. He beat George. I ain't gonna lie to you.
What?
100%.
This team is a beatable team. Like I think there's a scenario where if we come out firing and this team get hot, we got some guys, bro. Like we just got athletes on the outside. We got a running game. The offensive line come in, they can block and keep it stable. They're not gonna dominate Georgia front seven, but if they could just give us some lanes here, keep our quarterback off his back. I think we got the guys outside that could do something. It just comes down to coaching and game plans, and they got the advantage there. But the receivers I've seen play so far this year, and I watched Georgia play, that team ain't Superman. I think we definitely cover. I think it comes down to a one-possession game. I don't think it's going to be any blowouts or anything like that. This is going to be one of the rare quarterbacks. I know Bama caused them some problems in the first half, and they got a similar situation, a guy that can move a little bit. Manning, they can't move like this kid can move. He just brings something different to the table in the RPO. And I know Kirby, even when he was at Bama, he struggled with guys that can move around and can move and do things with their legs. So, yeah, I think Georgia wins, but I think it's a very close game. I think it's like 7 3-point type game. But I don't think it's far-fetched for us to win this football game and Billy to find some life a little bit there, to be real.
Buddy, life. If Billy beats Georgia, we might be talking contract extension.
No, we ain't going full.
Well, until we do that, Nick, we're going to start our new segment called "We Want to Poach Your Coach." So we're going to talk about this as long as it's still a topic of conversation. But before we do that, the "We Want to Poach Your Coach" segment is sponsored by our friends over at Gametime Sidekicks. Go visit GameTimeSidekicks.com. Get yourself a cool cup like this. Hundreds of other options, probably 12 for the Gators, and then a bunch of other schools in NIL. products that are out there. The guys that run it are huge Gator fans, great guys based in Knoxville, Tennessee, pardon me. So go buy them some cups, or go buy some cups from them and let them know, even in Tennessee Vol country, that we are supporting them. But best quality cup on the market, as far as I'm concerned, or at least up there with all the best that you're going to pay double or triple the price for. So go visit them. GameTimeSidekicks.com, promo code Stadium15. So we want to poach your coach. A lot of stuff happened. It was an exciting weekend of football. We had some names enter the list, Corey. We had some names off the list. What do you guys think?
What do you got?
Let's just start.
I'm
watching a lot of games. I'm watching a lot of games. So
cooking.
There's two coaches. Dan's got a very strict policy about being on or off his list, which is always fluid.
Yeah,
it's always fluid.
Yeah, it's always fluid.
But Dan Lanning and Kurt Cignetti have steadily been on the list.
Kirk Cignetti entered the list this weekend. Kirk Cignetti entered the list.
He hasn't even trailed a second of a game yet.
I still needed to see more, Nick.
Okay.
Once you're on the list, that's a huge accomplishment. We have so far not removed a coach from the on to the off, and so expectations are high. Kirk Cignetti entered. I did think his interview was a little uninspired on game day. The losers out there that think anytime that there's a tweet, it's about politics and want to enter the mentions, go find a Game Boy to play or do something else.
Game Boy.
I can't wait until after the election. I'm done with these calls. I'm done with the tweets. I
don't even want to talk about it over here. Let's move on.
Dan Lanning on the list. Kirk Cignetti off the list. Brett Bielema, Matt Rule. Oh, Marcus Freeman is on my list too. James Franklin could have a chance to enter the list too. So right now we got three names. We got Dan Lanning, Kirk Cignetti,
James, put my journalist hat on. James off of your list. I'm removing him from your list. You have two players.
He apologized. He's
to walk up there and not even be able to say hey, our university released a statement. We're doing that. But just to a child, when their mother looks at them and says, "Did you touch that?" and you just walk away out of camera view, out of sight, out of mind, oh, no one asked me. You're in your 50s, sir. Stand up there and answer for your players, even if it's just we've released a statement. That's all we're saying at this point. Yeah. Don't have somebody else, two other people say that for you. Mudkip's back. Am I on your coaching list?
You are not on my coaching list. I think you're still on his. But right now there's still a lot. There's still a lot of opportunity to be added to the list or to be off the list. Saw some uninspired coaching this weekend by Matt Rule. I know some people thought, hey, maybe that's a guy that you can go and get. And yes, why would he leave Dylan Raiola? I mean, to get DJ Lagway, right? But I'm looking at the lot of coaches that are out there, and they all have such large asterisks next to them.
Yeah, I mean, Cignetti's just winning. The interview you saw is I've seen plenty of content from him. He talks the right things from an X and O and how you build a program aspect. I like the things I hear from him, but definitely gonna make the list. But I don't know if I would be excited about him. He's just low on the list, so we got to strike out in a lot of places for me to be, you know what I'm saying, okay with Cignetti.
Chat also, is really on Dion. Can we get a comment?
Yeah, I'm rocking.
You guys
I'm
on
Dion. I'm about Dion for sure.
Yeah, I'm rocking with Prime, man. I think Prime deserves to be on the list. What he's doing out in Colorado is good stuff. He's in the same years as our coach right now. We've all been watching and criticizing. This is a lot to clean up, but all these guys got their asterisks and things they got to fix. The way him and Gator Media might get weird, you know what I'm saying? But from a recruiting standpoint, a transfer portal standpoint, a hiring standpoint, he got a whole staff full of NFL guys. I think he hires well. You don't have to worry about him calling the plays. He's not a play caller. He's really a CEO, the kind of coach that football's going to, you know, being able to delegate. And I think he could delegate. It's just dealing with the media, and I think a little bit too much content. Like, it's too much of exposing the team locker room vibes and that type of stuff, which give me red flags with Deion. But what he's building and putting together out there in Colorado is impressive this year, and that's not an easy. You're not in a football. If we don't go and get him, I think somebody in the SEC, ACC, he's not gonna be in Colorado. I think he's a bigger job.
For sure.
If Prime is the coach, I need them to not have somebody monitoring Twitter. Prime would not answer a single question for me in the press conference. I would have to go somewhere else.
I don't think that UF is going to be that unconventional, to be honest with you. I think that I am curious to see where he goes from here, right? Shador's gone. Travis Hunter's going to be gone. His other son, Shiloh, I think is gone too. And what does the roster look like after that? I think that there's going to be some trepidation in any AD department based on some of these media things and some other things. I think that it's still kind of a work in progress, but I will give them credit. I don't think anybody had them at 6-2 right now. No. And they've had some impressive wins. So I think he deserves accolades. I know he's had a lot of coaching turnover, and the coaching staff that he said he had and the coaching staff that actually started has been, was certainly different. But, I am curious to watch what his trajectory is, especially after his kids are gone.
I caught the end of that game. Warren Sapp, I think, puts an entire can of dip into his lip. He's out there looks like there's a baseball in his mouth on the sideline. My question, does he want to coach? Does he want to put himself through this, or was he doing this because his sons were playing? It was an opportunity.
I don't know, man. That's a super long game to go at Jackson State for a number of years. And then, Shador is obviously a fantastic player, and getting Travis Hunter, from FSU has turned out to be everything and more, right? I don't think anybody anticipated him to be this good. I think it's a long game. I think that he's a guy that is going to coach for a while.
Kid, man. I expected him to be like that.
Of course you did. Well, everybody else was like, he's going to probably be pretty good. He's going to probably end up on one side of the ball, not both, and probably not be a Heisman, finalist playing both sides of the ball, but to be able to be at the top of both positions. And you can argue semantically what he's going to be better in the NFL. That's not the point of that comment. I'm just very curious to see which school gives him that next opportunity. I don't think it's going to be the University of Florida.
No, I don't expect it to be Florida. But I think he's going to be one of the hot coaches this offseason. We just look at from a recruiting standpoint, because everybody that's firing somebody, you got to be able to maintain and keep this roster. And he's got that, that personality. He's polarizing. Kids, the recruits, kids love him. He's the greatest defensive back ever. The greatest trash talker in football ever. His personality is huge, man, and he's so removed from the game, but he's like he's like Michael Jordan of football, where every kid, like my son, is a Deion fan, and he's never seen Deion do anything football wise. It's just that name, going to check the highlights. He's just one of them guys. But I don't expect Florida to go after him, because I think they may go a little bit more conventional. But if North continues to scroll, even if you don't get hired this year, I think it's setting up for him to end up at a place like Florida State. And I do think that's a loaded gun inside this state. Deion coming back to the state of Florida, he's killing in Colorado. He's getting the best defensive backs and receivers way out in Colorado. He beat us for Jordan Seaton and a lot of SEC programs for that kid in Colorado. The moment he comes to, and I do think he wants to coach college football. He's recruiting at Colorado now, like he wants to be there next year. So I don't think he's going anywhere from college football, but I do think he's going to leave Colorado, in my opinion.
Colorado's beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a beautiful city and campus, But it's also a hard place to recruit. Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, for sure. But I feel the same way, and I also feel like I do think Florida will not hire Deion, but at the same time, I would be very hurt if he goes to FSU. I mean, that's just going to be another thing we got to deal with. is already looking like they're trying to build a program over there.
They got Cristobal, former King, out there.
Right.
You see
the
what
last
that brings.
thing I want to see is Deion being the coach of Florida State, and we got to deal with both of these guys every year now. I'd rather have him on my side, but obviously I don't think that'll happen, just as far as UF's history with hiring coaches and stuff. But you can hope and pray.
So Florida would have to counter then with a grad. Spurrier's out. Dan laughed at the notion of Tim Tebow last week.
Yeah, as anybody should.
Jordan's former teammate Luke Del Rio is back into coaching.
Yeah.
Buddy,
Hard.
I'm done with this podcast. I will hang up my mic.
What about Mac Attack Redux? Mac Attack 2.
Nick, I know what I'm going to do here. You're muted now, buddy. Yeah, yeah. Couple names. So James Franklin right now, that's a name that we've brought up. They're 7-0, sitting number 3 in the country right now. Ryan Day is a name that we've talked about as well. People say, why would Ryan Day leave? I think it kind of reminds you of like a Calipari at Kentucky. Like maybe you're not able to get over the hump. I'm not saying that Ryan Day is going to be on the market. I'm not saying that Ohio State's going to fire him, but if they're not able to get past maybe the first round of the playoffs again, almost lost in Nebraska. I just don't know, but that's a name that we've talked about. I've heard that there's been interest at the University of Florida from Ryan Day by somebody Nick and I know. Marcus Freeman, a name that I brought up, he's 7-1. Why would he leave Notre Dame? My thought process is, Florida gave him an opportunity. I think it's a little easier to recruit at Florida. I think that it's a little bit easier to get players in at the University of Florida. I think you can be a little looser, a little freer with some of that you might struggle with at Notre Dame. Kurt Signetti sitting at 13. They're 8-0. Lane Kiffin's a name that I know a lot of people are kind of cooling on recently, but they're 6-2 right now. They're 19th in the country. And then Rhett Lashley, SMU, came back and won that game.
Big Red, baby.
20th right now.
Real quick on Marcus Freeman.
Man.
Marcus Freeman was born in Ohio, played high school football in Ohio, played college at Ohio State. In the NFL, he played for Chicago, Buffalo, Houston, grad assistant at Ohio State, linebacker coach at Kent State, which is in Ohio, linebacker coach and co-DC at Purdue, which is in Indiana, DC at Cincinnati in Ohio. At no point does any of that make me think, you know what, I'm going to leave Notre Dame to go to Notre Dame
is a premier job.
Yeah.
You just not leave Notre Dame. I don't care if you were from Miami. Like, it's just a tough job to even leave. So I don't think and they took a risk with him. Like, they didn't just hire a proven guy. He was one of their guys on it as a defensive coordinator. They lose their head coach and they kind of promoted him. They believed in him as a young guy, which was
we've
controversial hire at the time.
We've said the same thing about James Franklin, though, right? From Pennsylvania, 11 years at Penn State, and we're like, oh, maybe he's ready, for a new challenge. So, I think some of those things being in Ohio, right? And that's also another thing that if Ryan Day leaves Ohio State, do they go after Marcus Freeman? I mean, that's certainly, a card that could fall, and if that's a dream job for him. I've learned a lot about people and making moves that it's not always rational. It's not always just what you're most comfortable with. And I'm not on this show preaching that Marcus Freeman would ever leave Notre Dame for Florida. I just think that there is ways and lanes that I could think of opportunities of why a coach could leave a name brand school. Because if we're not putting Florida at that echelon or at that level, then we can knock off a lot of names on this list and we can just start at ranking 17 and move our way down to ranking 40 in the standings. Florida's going to have a lot of money. They've got a lot of boosters that have a lot of money. They got a lot of boosters that have a lot of money that want to win now. Those that
I gotta see it to believe it, though, Dan. I've never seen these people go poach something. We do the bargain hire, bro. We go get McElwain. I'm Googling Billy Napier to figure out if I like this guy.
You're going to have to Google Kurt Signetti because that's what he told you to do.
I've already Googled. I prepared myself this time.
I think I remember the first person that told me who Florida was really targeting. They were like, you're going to have to Google him. So you saying that just made me like when it was back after they fired Mullen.
Oh, I thought you were saying this time. I was about to cry.
I'm talking about.
I almost.
No, because Billy, as you said, is going to beat Georgia.
I didn't say that.
FSU is a Sharpie W.
Jordan,
FSU is a
I'm
Sharpie
lying
W.
Yo, Miami or Florida State
Six.
stinks.
Out loud.
They have
bad.
a $65 million buyout
They
of
do.
Mike Norvell, and he now has higher odds to get fired before Billy Napier.
I think he's gonna have a mental breakdown and just quit. I don't think
He
I
looks
don't,
defeated, bro.
yes, that pressure was one for the books, man. I've seen McElwain like that, and then it was like, yo, I got death threats. So I think Florida State might get a death threats way out of this thing. But back to us, you almost made me shed a tear when you said that's what I'm hearing, that we may have to search. I thought you was talking about for this coaching search and like them vetting right now. No,
There is
they
no
absolutely
coaching
gotta
search.
go.
Florida's going to win 6.
They vetting.
Florida's going to win 6. And Billy's going to – and a bowl game, 7-6.
You've been nice on Billy since
2025.
Billy gave that shout out to your daughter, and you just been nice on Billy. How you see Billy getting 7 games? Explain this. Who do they beat?
with the bowl.
The bowl.
With the bowl. With the bowl.
Lay it
game.
out.
Yeah.
That Birmingham Bowl is going to slap in December, Nick.
Gasparilla Bowl, baby.
I'll be
Florida
there.
State. Who else do we beat?
I turned Dan around real quick.
So I'll throw a little Stadium and Gale shindig at our place here. We'll get
6
over
wins.
there.
Ole Miss and FSU. That's 6.
Okay.
It's gonna be tough because that means 3 straight losses.
I still think he's still fired with those 2 wins.
I don't think so.
What do you guys think the fan base's reaction is? I know the fan base has cooled on Lane Kiffin a bit. I know, Corey, you have a lot. Florida loses, or Florida beats Lane Kiffin. Billy Napier still gets fired. They hire Lane Kiffin. You think the fan base be rational, or what are your thoughts?
I just think you can't. I don't think you can hire a coach. If Billy beats him, everybody can say what they want to say. Lane came into this season with higher expectations. We were all saying that was a for sure playoff team. They got a guy, Jackson Dart, who's been in the system a lot of years, got NFL aspirations. He's getting graded high for NFL. Like, these are the expectations. He poached our best defensive player on paper that people were saying. You know, in Portal, the boosters at Old spent a lot of money. You know, he's beat Billy out for like 3-4 quarterbacks. Like, we got the year we got Graham Mertz. It was Will Howard and some other guys we were trying to get, and he beat us out for
from Oklahoma State, too.
Yeah, Spencer, what was his name?
Yeah, and
I
you're
forget his
thinking of
name.
Walker Howard and Spencer Sanders.
There you go, Spencer
Yeah,
Sanders,
well-
Walker Howard. Like, they beat us out for some guys, so the expectations was high for Lane coming in this year. Everybody want to make excuses for him? Nah, man. I think right now Lane has a bad L with the Kentucky. If he was to lose to Billy at the Swamp, there's no way if we make a coaching change at the end of the year, you could hire a guy that lost to Billy Napier. Those expectations in that type of season on the line.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Cool.
And I think Billy could beat that boy. Like, I don't think it's far-fetched at all. Like, I think we have played as good as they have played this season. You know, they got a very easy schedule. With our schedule, I think they have similar record.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, potentially so. All right, guys. I think that brings us towards the end of our show here. You guys have any final thoughts before we say goodbye? Jordan, you have song of the week, so just think about what song of the week you want it to be.
I got you.
I'll be.
We judging you by your songs too, bro. Hey,
I'll-
streets gonna judge you.
I'll be up in Duval County Friday. Holler at me if you're at the baseball game. And then I will be at
The game?
what's it called now? TIAA? Alltel? What's the stadium called now?
I think it's still called
Bank.
Alltel.
The bank? Isn't the bank?
Yeah, TIAA.
Motorola Stadium?
You've got what? You got 2 more games there, right? Before construction?
Yeah.
This one and next year?
This year, next year. And then I do not believe we will get a home and home. I believe we'll get an Atlanta, Tampa.
I wouldn't
I like
mind
that.
going to Athens.
like
You
that,
never been to Athens either. Jordan, did you visit Georgia?
Yeah, I did.
Ooh, traitorous. So who was there? Was that still Mark Rick?
Yeah, he was Mark Rick at the time. Yep.
What was Athens? What was the official, unofficial?
It was unofficial. I had a good time though.
They give you the Jacob Eason treatment?
Nah, I didn't get the Jacob Eason treatment, but I had a fun time.
Was a lot of DUI checkpoints out there?
It was a lot of police out there. Yeah, nah. But it was definitely a lot of like police around the area and stuff. But yeah, I had a fun time for the most part.
Yeah, it's not a bad town. Not a bad town. Little college town.
Little college town. Yeah.
All right, Jordan. Your first song of the week.
I'm gonna have to go with the most recent. Rod Wave just dropped the album. I like it's my favorite song on there. It's called 25. Y'all go check it out. 25 by Rod Wave.
St. Pete guy. All right. Well, we appreciate all of you for watching and joining us today on Twitter or on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share it with your friends. We appreciate each and every one of you for watching every week. Go visit our sponsors. Go visit Brunt Insurance, Homefield Apparel, Gametime Sidekicks, and Alumni Hall. And we will see you at the same corner, same time next week.